Right behind me is the most expensive gaming PC that we've ever built here at Trakin Tech. I'm sure you're wondering, but why did we go all out? Well, that's because we wanted to test the beast itself, the latest Nvidia RTX 5090 Founders Edition. So in this video, we're definitely going to be talking about the build, the components that we've used for the build, and reviewing the 5090 while we're at it to find out if it's worth the price, or if it's just a 4090 with added fake frames. Alright, if you're watching me for the first time, I'm Ershad. This is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now, before jumping into the performance of the 5090 itself, let me break down the components that we've used for the build. And while I'm talking about each component, we'll start populating a chart, and that will give you a handy idea of how much the cost is in the end. So for the world's fastest gaming GPU, we've actually paired it with the world's fastest gaming CPU. And yes, it is the AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D, which has 8 cores and 16 threads. And that sweet 64 megabytes of 3D V-cache. So for the RAM, we went with the Kingston Fury Renegade 32GB DDR5 RAM. Now this RAM is clocked at 6400 MHz with CL32 timings for a slight performance boost. For storage, we used the Corsair MP700 Pro NVMe SSD, and yes, this is a Gen 5 SSD, but it paired really well with our motherboard. Now talking about the motherboard, it's the Asus ROG Strix 870E gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. Now this is quite a mouthful. Asus, what are you doing with the names, man? Now why is this motherboard good? Firstly, because it's got 3 PCI Express 5 SSD slots, and mainly because the PCI Express expansion slot is a PCI Express 5x16 slot where we've slotted in the GPU. Now while the 9800X3D runs at 120 watts, we still paired it with a very powerful AIO. This is basically the Corsair IQ Link Titan 360, and it's good enough to keep the 9800X3D running cool even under heavy loads. Now since we used the Corsair AIO, we decided to go with the Corsair cabinet, and it's the Corsair Masterframe 4000D. This is a value for money cabinet. You get support for 10 fans, and you also get a GPU SAC bracket for those extra large, extra massive 5090s out there. I'm looking at you. Yes, the Asus Astral RTX 5090. That thing's a monster. Now for the PSU, we picked the Corsair RM1000X Shift. Now this is a bit of a controversial choice because this is a 1000 watt PSU, and for the 5090, we'd suggest going with a 1200 watt PSU minimum. Now there's a reason for that, and that's because of the power draws, and I'm going to be talking about that really soon when we talk about the benchmarks. Now for the monitor, we went with a 31.5 inch 240Hz Asus ROG OLED monitor, and trust me, paired with the 5090 and the entire gaming rig that we have, it's gorgeous because it's got dual modes. Firstly, it runs at 4K 240Hz, or you can even run it at 1080p 480Hz. Now this was the entire build of the cabinet itself, and all of this put together comes up to a whopping approximately 5.7 lakhs. That is if you can get the RTX 5090 at market value and without adding all of the other peripherals like your keyboard, the mouse, headphones, speakers, whatever you want to add. Yep, I know it's a lot of money, but trust me, it was so much fun to test this out. The 5090 is the latest and greatest graphic card out there, guys. Who doesn't want to do it? And all of that fun also goes along with the performance benchmarks that we've done for you, and I'm going to be talking about that next. But before we do that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to see more experimental, more crazy, wacky content like this. Now, it's safe to say that the RTX 5090 is an engineering marvel, because what you get are 92 billion transistors, 21,000 CUDA cores, 680 tensor cores, and a 32GB DDR7 memory paired with 512-bit bus. It also ships with DLSS 4 transformer model and multi-frame generation for the very first time on an Nvidia GPU. Now, until last year with 4090, you used to get frame generation, but with this year, you get multi-frame generation. So instead of just one frame being inserted, now you can insert 2 extra frames or 3 extra frames. So you get 2x, 3x and 4x options when you do multi-frame generation, and we're going to be exploring all of that. Now when you do a specs to specs comparison of the 5090 to the 4090, it's technically supposed to be 33% faster, but let's see if that translates to real life. So starting with the synthetic benchmarks like Geekbench 6 and 3D Mark TimeSpy, the 5090 beats the 4090, of course, by around 27%. But in Geekbench AI and Puget Bench, this figure falls down to around 20%. The only test where there's actually a 34% difference between the 5090 and the 4090 is in the Blender benchmark. But I don't talk about synthetic benchmarks, we don't care about it. Let's get to the gaming, and that's what I'm excited to talk about as well. So we played Alan Wake 2, Cyberpunk 2077 and Hogwarts Legacy to test out the different modes and the performance against test the 4090. Now first up, let's check the 4K high preset without ray tracing and without any upscaling, basically without DLSS switched on, just to check the actual raw performance difference between the GPUs. In Alan Wake 2, the RTX 5090 is ahead by just 9.47%. But in Hogwarts Legacy, the number increases to 26.34%. And we saw the most improvement in Cyberpunk, where there is a 43.1% improvement in frame rates. For the second test, let's check the performance with 4K high preset, ray tracing on with DLSS 4 upscaling, and no frame generation or multi-frame generation on the 5090 compared to similar settings but with DLSS 3.5 on 4090. It's a similar story for the RT intensive games. Alan Wake 2 is again 28.72% faster on the 5090 and Cyberpunk is 48.75% faster. So we can safely say that we can expect on an average about 25 to 26% improvement in performance on the 5090 as compared to the 4090. But here's the thing to note, you will see a disparity in scores across these games, primarily because some of these games might not be optimized. Now once they do get optimized, you might see better performance. Now after this, we tested multi-frame generation on all the three games, and as you can see for yourself, there is a considerable boost in FPS when you go from 2x to 3x to 4x. At the same time, the graphics quality also starts deteriorating, especially at 3x and 4x. So at 3x and 4x, we started noticing artifacts. We saw some compression artifacts and some screen tearing issues as well. And the main problem is that once you start noticing these artifacts, your eyes will start looking for them. So what we noticed in a game like Cyberpunk 2077 with DLSS on and 4x MFG compared to RT with no DLSS, nothing on, and just raw performance, the difference was night and day. Because on this side, it looks like a photorealistic game, and on this side, it starts looking a little cartoonish. So that's the difference between actual real raw ray tracing and DLSS based ray tracing upscaling, or even upscaling of frames, upscaling of resolution, all of that. Moving on, Nvidia has also introduced a new transformer model with the 5000 series, but the good thing is that the transformer model is actually coming to the 4000 series, the 3000 series, and the 2000 series as well. Now, Ershad, what is the transformer model? Well, it's actually a very, very good piece of technology. So with the transformer model, Nvidia claims that you get 15% more frames with better visual fidelity, all while consuming less VRAM. We tested it and it actually does work well, as you can see for yourself. And this transformer model, trust me, will be useful for those 8GB VRAM cards. I'm looking at your 4060 Ti. Now to sum that performance up, yes, with multi-frame generation, you will see crazy frame rates hitting upwards of 200, 300, 400, sometimes even 500 FPS. But the reality is a little more nuanced than that, and most pro gamers don't actually like upscaling or frame generation, which is what I've heard from them. Now let's talk about that power draw which I mentioned, and the RTX 5090 sucks a lot of power. Now in our testing, it reached a peak of 588 watt is what we noticed, which is okay, and it is controlled well by the 1000 watt PSU that we have. But when you take a look at some testing done by our friends in the industry, you can see that the RTX 5090 can go up to 900 watts spikes as well. For such spikes, for just even 1 millisecond can trip your PC, and if it goes even higher, sometimes it can even fry it. Also, Nvidia, it's been 2 years, please fix your melting power connector. So there you have it, the RTX 5090 is undoubtedly a powerhouse, but is it worth the upgrade from a 4090? Definitely not. Because if you're coming from a 4090, the performance gains for the extra price that you pay for the 5090 will not be worth it. And the 5090 is not going to be available at market retail price for a while anyway, right? So you'll have to pay extra for it anyway. Even at market retail price, it will be 69,000 rupees more than the 4090. So yeah, the performance delta doesn't match up, and we don't feel like it's a lot of value for money. Having said that, for anybody using a 3090 Ti or older, then definitely worth the upgrade. Now, despite the fact that the 5090 doesn't have crazy raw performance improvements over the 4090, it is still a move forward in terms of GPU technology. See, Nvidia as a company has always introduced new technologies, and ray tracing was one of them, right? Now, ray tracing has progressed to such a level that it looks absolutely incredible, and there are hardware-based ray tracing games available right now, like Indiana Jones, which kind of taxes the GPU a lot, by the way, and which is why you need something like multi-frame generation to ensure that you can do ray tracing without sacrificing on your frame rates. And this is the first time we've been introduced to multi-frame generation. Compared to the 2x frame generation with DLSS 3.5 on 4090 and DLSS 4's 2x frame generation, you can definitely see improvement in quality. So I'm expecting improvements in quality in the next version. This is just the first time it's come out. Let's give it some time. So a future with Nvidia graphics cards where games run at 4K resolution, ultra high graphics, ultra high ray tracing, ultra high frame rates with multi-frame generation, and very minimal artifacting might not be too far.
2,000 years later. सर
हाँ
आप कब तक ऑफिस बंद करना था?
चाबी दे, तू चाबी दे, पका मत। किधर है मैं?